Do you remember when you were a kid at your first baseball game? Even if the team sucked, it was still a good time. The sun shining on a perfect weekend day, the smell of popcorn and cotton candy in the air, waiting to see your favorite player come up to bat. Maybe if you're lucky, they won. Nothing else mattered. You got to see a baseball game at a stadium. It's that sense of innocence that brought people to the sport, made fans out of generations of Americans, myself included. However, especially considering the past few months, we need to admit something rather dire is happening with baseball. It's not due to one particular factor, but a culmination of years of stagnation with an unprecedented pandemic and endless bickering. Major League Baseball is in serious trouble. I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic when I say this. Look me in the eyes and tell me what has happened over the past 4 or 5 months has been beneficial to the sport. I hate to say it, but this season has been all but a disaster. Think about the times you've heard about baseball over the past month. It's been a barrage of negative publicity and stories that put a black eye on the league. The first game back should have been a warning. Rob Manfred was being interviewed by ESPN as lightning strikes in the background. A monsoon immediately engulfs Nationals Park. If that doesn't summarize the season thus far, I don't know what will. Maybe trying to bull rush through more issues should do it. Look before that to the great pride of Canada and the Toronto Blue Jays. Canada has had a zero-tolerance policy towards anything that may compromise the health of their citizens, and that includes people trying to enter the country. There would have been massive fines and possibly jail time for Blue Jays players leaving the quarantine area, but that was before the final decision. The Canadian government told them to fuck off and find a new place to play. So now the Blue Jays, several weeks until the season starts, have to scramble and beg for a new place to play what they'll call home games this season. They first tried Pittsburgh, and local government approved, but the state government told them to find somewhere else. Next, they tried Baltimore, but that was less than ideal for proximity. Just after the season started, they settled on Buffalo, a city they first scoffed at due to a lack of major league amenities at the stadium. So now they have to scramble to upgrade aspects of the stadium in order to have a de facto home opener in a few weeks. Now, an escape from embarrassment would be bad enough, but if they can at least hold off on any potential outbreaks for a while, the league could focus on the baseball being played. If it were only that easy. In the first weekend of play, they already had a major outbreak take place. The Miami Marlins, winners of being first in COVID. There are rumors and grumblings on how it happened, but the consensus seems to be players allegedly going out for a night on the town in Atlanta. It only takes one, and when someone has it on the team airplane, there's a good chance a lot of people on board will get it. The end result is over 20 players and coaches being infected, the team itself being suspended from play for a week. Players are either unable to play due to quarantining measures or withdraw from play entirely in the case of Isan Diaz. Now the Marlins are forced to play with a ragtag group for the short-term future. At least it's a better outcome than the Cardinals had. They were the second team to suffer major infestation, rumored to be due to several players heading down to a local casino. Once again, once they got on the team plane, it was too late. Most of the team ended up having it. For St. Louis, their season would be suspended for 2 weeks. Since they're back, they now not only have to play nearly every single day for the next 6 weeks, but a good deal of those days will now have to be doubleheaders as makeup games. There have been other sporadic outbreaks, such as with the Cincinnati Reds and a feared one with the Phillies, but once again inevitable without a true bubble. Is anyone shocked that they're thinking about one for the playoffs? Perhaps it'll stop more players like Lorenzo Cain and Yoenis Cespedes from opting out of the season. Despite the outbreaks among teams, the real issue for me is in another category. Pitchers are dropping like flies this season. There are many reasons for why this is, but I firmly believe a main one is due to pitchers not getting the reps they needed before the restarted season. Turning it back on like a light bulb did more damage than good. This leads to a shit ton of blown arms and shoulders, among other things. Here's a quick list of the major players that have fallen. Matt Bum, Cole Hamels, Mike Soroka, Justin Verlander, Roberto Osuna, Sandy Alcantara, Jose Urena, Marcus Stroman, Luis Severino, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Kirby Yates, Carlos Martinez, Miles Michaelis, Charlie Morton, Corey Kluber, and Steven Strasburg. Bit of a long list for a few weeks into the season, yes? That's not mentioning lesser-known pitchers or the guys that were already injured or opted out like Syndergaard, Chris Sale, David Price, or Chris Archer. Not only is it diluting the level of play, it's a damning testament to how rushed the restart was. Elbows and shoulders are finicky joints and need time to readjust to hurling 95 miles an hour. There's also the issue of Eduardo Rodriguez, whom is still dealing with the effects of coronavirus. He suffered a heart issue that's lingered, and who the hell knows when or even if he'll be able to play again. How many more fall before the end of the year? I cringe to think. This season has also allowed baseball to experiment with new rules and regulations in their rather misaligned quest to speed up play. Some I agree with, such as the 3-batter minimum, in which changing a pitcher for every guy that came up to bat significantly slowed down the game. The 7-inning games for doubleheaders make sense in these times due to the packed nature of the schedule. I don't agree with 16 teams making the postseason due to it enabling mediocrity, but I understand why they did it. But what the hell is with the idea of starting extra innings with a runner on second base? This is not an improvement, this is a gimmick. A desperate one at that. All that huffing and puffing about the integrity of the game and you pull this shit? You won't allow for an automated strike zone yet turn extras into a crapshoot? I'd honestly rather have ties. At least there's historical precedent with them back in the 19th century. Now we get to the part where things are starting to get dangerous. Athletes are still going to want to go out and party, like Zach Plesac and Mike Clevenger did in Chicago. Plesac's so much of an idiot that he posted about it on social media. Big no-no in quarantine, buddy. You get to drive a rental car back home in shame on one of the most boring stretches of land in America. You ever drive the Indiana Turnpike? It's flat farmland as far as the eye can see. But what about Clevenger? Well, he lied about his involvement in the night out. He traveled on the team plane to their next destination. What this means is if he was infected, he's compromised the entire damn roster. So what's the issue with this? Simple. Teams and players are starting to weaponize service time. Now, manipulation of service time isn't a new phenomenon. Teams have been holding back players in the minors for a few months to avoid Super 2 status in arbitration. But to do it as a form of punitive punishment? That's the kind of shit that leads to an impasse and inevitable work stoppage. Marcus Stroman did the same thing, but in the opposite manner. He accrued enough service time to be eligible for free agency and told the Mets to fuck off. Everyone just laughs because it's the Mets. I know people are going to point to the strong ratings for baseball once it came back as proof of the league still being healthy, but that was when it was the first major sport back in play. It's like being the first comment on a YouTube video. Means jack shit when the market is flooded with options. With the NBA, NHL, MLS, and soon the NFL fighting for viewers' eyeballs, baseball might end up hurting until the World Series. I'm going to be completely honest. I haven't really paid much attention to this baseball season except for glancing at stats and standings. That might be more because the Pirates absolutely suck this year, but I fear I'm not alone. With how baseball is more focused on trying to bury a certain scandal instead of putting a viable product on the field, the sport is in trouble with the leadership it has. No, I don't see baseball going away entirely. That's a foolish belief. I do, however, see it going the way of boxing and horse racing, mostly forgotten except for a few key events. Think the Home Run Derby and the World Series. Yes, keep focusing on those unwritten rules, baseball. You know you need Grand Slams by Fernando Tatis Jr. more than that shit. Enjoy those while you can, by the way. The league's CBA expires this offseason, and I fear there may be a rather lengthy impasse which will further erode baseball's popularity. Why is this league's priorities so fucked up?
Looking out towards center field.